Where's the driver? I'm waiting too long. Oh, I'm the driver. Welcome to another episode. I'd say buckle up, but we don't got any seatbelts. We already tried starting it once. So now we're going to check the antifreeze. So first thing we need is the key for that one and this one. You notice there's a cover, one of them doesn't have them. But that won't stop us. Okay, now that we got it open, this flips up. And bear with me while I hold this with my head. Okay, our ultra high-tech hood propping device. And here is the expansion tank. Now, I was here a couple of days ago. Topped it off with some straight antifreeze because we had one hell of a cold. It was like something like 8 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 22 C. And I topped this off all the way to the brim. If there's... we're leaking, which is a good sign because I left it that way. And leaking means potentially no cracks, unless that's clogged and whatever is going into the engine is completely separate. So this is the engine. It's a Raba D2156. It is a horizontal straight 6. So you have 6 cylinders laying on their sides. So coolant and lubrication, actually lubrication being the most critical part. Anybody that has boxer engines or any other kind of horizontal weird ways of mounting, they know that lubrication is the #1 killer of these types of engines. Now you see here, dipstick looks fine. Oil is a little gross. I don't see any cracks in the block. Compressors right here, and what I find odd, now I may post up some of the photos from the shop manual, they actually show the compressor being on that side. I bought this vehicle in Fetesti. And while Fetesti was a very simple process, it was an auction, there were no other buyers, so I ended up buying the vehicle. Easy peasy. Getting it through customs, getting the people to sign paperwork, getting them to not look at this as just a piece of junk, but something that somebody's put effort and time into and not applying their own standards, that's a different story. And Romania is still struggling with a lot of issues from communism, from the transition period of the 90s, but the most difficult part, let's call it that, on the paperwork side was Germany. From their tolls, to taxes, to 1,000,001 pieces of paper, forms and documents that need to be signed in triplicate and this and that. For something that's just transiting their country, drove me nuts. Also, our own customs. This bus arrived on the 1st, it cleared on the 16th. And I don't know. Did they irradiate it, nuke it? I don't know, because I didn't get any bills, because you better be sure they're going to bill you for every test and every cleanup and every bug killer they're going to put your vehicle or your cargo through. But getting back to this engine, it's got a 4-speed Supposedly synchronized transmission, but I'm not quite sure. It could be the synchros shot, or it is the non-synchronized version. We will see as I tear into this thing. It is a 10.35 liter 4-cycle diesel. It's got plenty of power, plenty of torque. 192 horsepower, which a lot of you know, that's for a bus, that's kind of on the money. Those MCIs that go around there, you know, outside, those are, speaking of the devil, those have about 220 horsepower and they weigh about 50% more. So this thing should have adequate power for high speed. Torque is somewhere around the 515 foot-pounds range. So again, especially empty, as this bus is probably going to be running from now on, plenty of torque to get this beast off the line. Now, it ain't a Lamborghini, all right? I don't want to hear any crap about, oh, it's slow. It's a freaking bus, all right? What do you expect? A LaFerrari? Okay, so let's get back to inspecting. Pardon my use of profanity. I do try to keep that at a minimum, out of a sign of respect to the viewers. But let's be real, when you're doing mechanics, you can hear a lot of cursing. Especially when you're going to stub your fingers and toes. And alright, I'm not seeing any leaking here. Not seeing any leaking there. So, let's go back and try to start this engine. Alright, here you go. Ignition on, even though I'm not sure if that thing works. Clutch in, even though it doesn't matter. Let's crank this girl up. Come on, Olivia, let's do it. Guess she doesn't want to cooperate today. Obviously with the diesel, it's not like with the car where you just crank it and once the spark ignites you get power stroke, compression builds up in another cylinder, and so on and so on, and that's where the term reciprocating engine comes from. With the diesel, it's all on ignition through compression. Obviously the engine needs to spin a couple of times in order for compression to build up in the combustion chamber. Now you factor in an old engine which loses some of that compression via the old piston rings. With the temperature, whenever it's colder, if you remember your high school chemistry, cold decreases pressure. So that leaves you with having to spin this engine several times so that pressure builds up. Well, that's nice and dandy until you factor in the final piece of the puzzle. Right here, we're behind the second door, where the battery compartment is. With this nice little lock. Just out of curiosity, let's see what the hell's in this panel. Alright, so here we got the batteries. Two 12 volt. So obviously it's a 24 volt system. Now this thing is a little rusty. This tray should come out. In fact, let's see if, oh boy, that's not moving. If you can see there, and ignore the camera noise, it is a loud little bugger. These are the old serviceable type batteries where you take off these caps, check the density, and add water if necessary. But here is the interesting part. Probably why my battery's been going dead. This is the main battery kill switch. Off, on. And I have no idea what some of these things here are. but they don't look very pretty. So obviously we need to tear into this stuff and clean it up, because we definitely got some missing fuses and a lot of corrosion going on. And here's another cool feature: the spare tire. You can see it's an old split ring Widowmaker, but what's cool is this. It is a brand new Danubiana tire. Brand spanking new, forgotten in the warehouse. 20-inch on 12-inch width. These originally came with optional 11s versus 20. And look at that. Look at that tread. Brand spanking new. You're not going to see one of these. This may be the last Danubiana tire. And if not the last, it is definitely the newest one out there. This is Al Deckman Barry, wishing you a great ride and hope to see you again soon.